I was terrified. I figured it out because I was just looking one step at a time, right? To make it a little bit easier, a little bit better, a little bit more enjoyable.
We RAD Dads, bringing a soft edge to a hard topic. Join us every week as we talk to real people with real stories, from the everyday single parent to family professionals, and find entertainment along the way. Join me, Walter J. Eggers, as I discover and share wisdom. Positive changes start here.
Episode 60. Hey, welcome back again, Rad Dads. Walter Eggers. I'm always pumped. Thank you so much for making this your choice. For you new listeners out there, welcome. This is your place where single fathers and men of blended families can find wisdom, wellness, support, and resources so we can find ourselves in a more positive situation and move in a positive direction. Welcome all. Thanks to all my longtime listeners. I love you guys. And speaking of which, I want to shout out Cameron Bahan. Now, we've got an upcoming giveaway that's coming up here in the next couple of episodes, likely. But because of Cameron, he made it all happen. And of course, those details will become more clear. But what I would like you to do is to get onto the We Rad Dads Facebook group and thank Cameron personally. He's very active there and he's a super dude. So guys, I really implore you, if you're not already part of the We Rad Dads Facebook group, go over there and check it out. Hey, this week I've got a resources episode, and this is a little off the beaten path for We Rad Dads. Normally I like to talk about dads have their bomb crater moments, kind of get it out in the open, and we discuss what went wrong, what went right, what to do, and what to avoid. And if that's for you, then I've got a ton of episodes for you. And Cameron Bahan is one of those episodes. Of course, offhand, I can't think of it. I believe it's 23-ish, somewhere in the 20s. So go check it out. This episode is a resource episode, as I mentioned, with our guest this week, Nicole Holland. And she talks about it's just her incredible lengths, where she got to where she is. And the resource here is, again, some form of passive revenue and or career change. Now, follow me here. Nicole she belongs here, believe it or not, as a former foster mom who the system abused, and we'll get into that story, trust me, has just incredible steps, correctional officers, and then complete and total burnout, a diagnosis of PTSD due to just work-related stresses. I can't imagine working from anything from foster children to watching these situations unfold to death row inmates. I mean, just everything in between. But you wouldn't know it listening to her. She is just a beautiful person. She's got so much energy, and that's why I like talking to her. So we're going to talk a little bit about her gratitude for her mom and the mindset of growth in finding your true north, as well as a host of other things. Now, I just love talking to Nicole, and I've said that once before, but you will find out why here shortly. Guys, a few things before we get there. I really wanted to thank you guys for using the Amazon affiliates. Now, guys, we all buy stuff at Amazon, and sometimes, we forget to use the affiliates, and that's fine. I tell you what, don't complete your purchase. If you get to the place where your shopping cart is full and you forgot, oh, darn it, I forgot to check out We Rad Dads and use the affiliate link. No problem. Close that window, go back through either the quick links behind the iTunes player or use those quick links and find maybe the show notes. And in this case, it's www.weraddads.com/Nicole Holland or any of our show notes pages. Just go over to weraddads.com, click on the Amazon banner, and then go through and complete your purchase. And we get just a tiny portion of that it doesn't cost you anything extra that Amazon would normally just take. So, hey, support the show. Use Amazon. Buy stuff. Be happy. All right, so without further ado, let's just jump into it this week with my guest, Nicole Holland. Hello and welcome back again, Rad Dads. Walter Eggers. Fired up. Do I usually show up and just blow your mind? Because that's really kind of my goal. I just want to show up, give you all the energy I got, blast it out, focus it, and hopefully you pick up on those wavelengths because, Rad Dads, sometimes we need it. And that's the guy I want to be. And this show. Our guest today is a resource show. It's a little bit off of the We RAD Dads parenting, but it's all about resources and business, and something I'm very excited about and I'm into myself: entrepreneurship, passive revenue, side revenue. And I've brought a guru, somebody who I've been in touch with since the beginning, and I'm very, very pleased to be connected with Nicole Holland of the Business Building Rockstar show. And she has created a massive network of people, resources, and a mass of knowledge. And I'm very pleased to be joined today by Nicole Holland. Nicole, how are you today?
Walter, I am so fired up to be one of We RAD Dads guests, because I love your show, even though I'm not a Rad Dad. I like being an honorary Rad Dad, and I've loved watching you progress in your journey. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And it's not all good times, as well, I'm sure we'll talk about. But there's been struggles and there's been triumphs, and you can't have one without the. You can't know the highs without the lows, and I think that correlates directly with parenting as well, and children. And you know a thing or two about that as well. As a foster mom, I tip my hat to you. I'll give you a big old virtual hug, because that has got to take a huge heart, and just to be able to bring people into your home and just kind of do what you can and release them back into the wild and hope and pray for the best. Like, how do you do that?
Well, I don't do it anymore. So just to clarify, I used to be a foster parent, but at this stage in my life, I am not a foster parent. But it just was the right thing at the time to do. I was working in crisis support and intervention. I had been working with troubled children and youth for quite some time at that point. And I was going into these houses that were foster homes, and I was so appalled and disappointed. Now, just to be very clear, not all foster homes are bad. There are some amazing, big-hearted people that are out there doing great things for children and youth in care. But I was going into some homes that were just atrocious, and I thought, I can do better. I can do better by these kids. I can do better than this, and I wanted to. And so, that's kind of how I got into it, and I got out of it because it's never about the kids. It's about the system, right? And I don't do well with being dishonored, if you will. So I was quite young, and I was idealistic, and I put a lot of work into doing the best I could by the kids. And I also I'm a yes person, right? Like, I want to please people, and my resource worker quickly figured that out, and I was getting placements that were completely inappropriate. And he really pushed the buttons with me a few times. And the final time, where they wanted to put a girl whose boyfriend had just tried burning down her, she was in her own apartment in a foster home, which I didn't have that set up. But so I forget what it was called. It was like semi-independent living or something. So her boyfriend tried to burn down the house, and she also had AIDS, and there was just a whole bunch of different very high needs things that my home wasn't set up for. And they really, really pushed me, and basically threatened that if I didn't take her, that I wouldn't get any more kids, and they'd end the contract. I'm like, cool, peace out. I quit,
Yeah.
So
that is, whoa, they try to take major advantage of your hospitality and your big heart. And that it's unfortunate that they push it to that level and then broke the machine, so to speak,
And that's why the machine's broken. That's one of the many reasons. I mean, it's not just me. And I think it's systemic of our systems. And I say our systems because I'm in Canada right now, in Ontario. This actually happened in a different province. But I mean, I saw it in the States as well. So it's all over. We have more needs than we have available resources, and government workers are more I don't think it's just government workers, but I think workers in general are getting more expected of them with less resources and less hours. And so I think the whole system is just bogged down, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, so I was a professional parent, if you will, for a while there with really high needs
Yeah,
youth.
and you just jumped into it solo. So you know what it's like to not have another person to kind of rely on. And, yeah, you had high needs and there was a lot of emotion there and you picked up the problems as so to speak. Not all kids with the problems, but they carry weight with them, being shuffled around like that.
Lots of
So yeah,
trauma. Yeah,
absolutely. So
trauma.
again, huge virtual hug and, tip of the hat to you because it just not ever anybody can just do that, especially willingly. So I'm really hoping that Rad Dads out there, listeners, you can hear the kind of person Nicole is, and that's why I'm so excited to be connected with her because she's just beautiful in and out, and just cheery and the whole nine. So you actually carried that forward. Now, brief history here. You went from I don't know if you were doing this at the same time, but you were actually a CO as well, right? Correctional officer.
After
Okay.
fostering. Yep.
Yeah. So you kind of
Yeah.
you went. Yeah. Go ahead.
Before and after fostering, I did the crisis support and intervention. So I was dealing with the police. I was dealing with the government agency that, dealt with child placements and removals and all that. And then my agency that I worked for, we went in and handled the aftermath, if you will. So if there was an event that was a crisis and the police had to be called in or the children had to be removed, we actually went in, the social workers did the paperwork and we actually did the physical removal and sometimes housed the kids and it just all kinds of crazy things we would just get called in on. So I was doing that before. And then, like I said, I was going into these foster homes to place the kids that we had just removed. And I was like, oh my gosh, some of the times. And then after I decided, nope, not doing this anymore. And I had 13 kids with me in the short time, no more than 2 at a time. Most of my kids were single placements. Yeah. And so after that, I called my boss and I was like, so I'd like to come back. And she's like, of course. So I did that. And then I had a family issue. My grandfather had gotten very ill. He had a stroke and lived across the country and in the States. So it was very difficult to get to. And so I made the decision to come eastward so that I was close enough to go at a moment's notice and see him. And that's when I got into, I got back into youth justice, which is actually something I did before crisis support. And then from there, I wound up in the adult system.
Wow. Yeah, that is, I don't know how, I mean, that is such an emotional roller coaster, all of it. And I wanted to give you as many accolades as possible for having gone that path. And then eventually you decided that wasn't your thing anymore and you stepped out into your own. So what was that moment like?
Well, the thing is that youth was always my thing. I was an angry kid. I came from a neglectful household. So I got these kids and they connected with me very quickly. And I was always coming from a space of love and I'm quite strong. And it's funny because a lot of the kids, they'd see my colorful hair. I have colorful hair again now, but I didn't have colorful hair when I was working for the government for a while. But, they'd see at the time, I think like my pink hair and they'd be like, oh, this girl's cool, right? Yeah. This girl's down.
Just, my kind of person. I'm different too. Yeah. I can identify.
Yeah, I was an adult, but I guess I looked a bit young and the way I dressed and my hair and whatever. So they're like, oh, she's really cool. And then they would find out when they wanted to do things that were not cool. I was not cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I was able to build rapport really fast with the kids. And even before that, I was working in youth justice with male youth that were adjudicated and doing coaching and counseling with them. And so I've always had a desire to support youth and families. And before that, even I was doing family coaching. So I would go in and I would assess situations where there were communication breakdowns and bad behaviors with the kids and help facilitate healthy behaviors and communication between the parents and the children. So people were just getting along better. And so all of that's always been really important to me. And when I was in the youth system in Ontario, I was really, really disheartened. It was a terrible place. It was not what I had experienced in the past. It was not rehabilitative, and it was just draining me. And so the opportunity came up to go to the adult system, which I was like, I don't even care about rehabilitating adults. I mean, no offense to anybody who does, but I believe once you come of a certain age or mindset, like you've made your decisions. But I think because kids, whether it's through divorce or whether it's through neglect or whatever the case may be, kids don't know how to process through things. And so a lot of times behaviors that happen are not necessarily the behaviors that would happen if they hadn't experienced those things. And so I have this deep belief that we can alter the life of a youth. And so I wasn't seeing that as an opportunity where I was working, and I had this opportunity to transfer to adult. So I was like, I was talking with a cousin of mine that's a CO, and he said, you can just go in. It's so much easier than youth. You can go in, do your job, go home at the end of the day, not carrying all this emotional baggage, and sleep well. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I can. And so I put in a transfer, and that's how I wound up in the adult system. Well, what I figured out though was, although it was like that at first, I was at a facility that was very well organized. It was safe. It was, there was a lot of respect, even though, murderers and rapists and really bad dudes in there. It was a good facility to work at. I could go in, ensure health, safety, and welfare, go home, eat dinner, go to bed, no problem. I could have a social life. Then I transferred to a place that was not like that. And it challenged my humanity in every way, shape, or form. And I was so far off of my path that I was getting super sick, and I was getting super anxious. And, I was diagnosed with PTSD, which I've seen things like prior to that with kids that you probably couldn't even comprehend. And I would never want to tell you because they would give you nightmares. And that didn't affect me the way being in this facility did. It was horrible. And so I finally decided I just had to stop. I had to get out of there, and I quit with no plan. And from there, I started getting myself back. And that's when I started my business online.
Wow. It's poetic, and I'm sorry you had to go through that kind of that downfall, everything. But
But everything. Look, Walter, I just adore you, and and I hope that your listeners are getting this and enjoying this. But here's the thing, and it's just mindset, right? I actually wrote in the email of resignation to my superintendent. I wrote something to the effect of, thank you for having such a bad facility. Because if this facility was like the facility I came from, I would have continued going into work, going home, eating dinner, having a life, and I would probably do that for the next 30 years until retirement. But because this place was so toxic for me, I was able to walk away because I didn't feel like I had any other choice. I could not stay there.
Okay.
I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't had that experience.
Oh my gosh, so many yeses right there, Nicole. You drilled it on so many levels. And the parallel here, which is pretty obvious, I hope, to everybody, but I'm going to go ahead and lay it out here. Guys, if you've been through divorce, if you've been through separation, if you've been through any traumatic experience that made you physically ill, that allowed, it pushed you into depression, it pushed you past your limitations, if you're noticing these, these physical signs or these mental, blockades, there's a reason for it. And the route that you took, Nicole, is perfect. That's the gratitude I'm talking about. So guys, the bomb crater is serving you, and you need to be grateful for that circumstance. You need to say, you need to write that letter to yourself, or just write it out. Say, thank you for making this a living hell, because otherwise I would have stayed here and I would have been miserable for the rest of my life. That's the gratitude speak right there. And you nailed it. So thank you for listen, you're not a parent, right? You don't have the divorce thing. You're as far as I know.
I'm divorced.
You are divorced? I didn't know that.
I am.
Oh man, here I just threw myself under the
bus. I've been happily divorced for a really long time.
So you know all about this sort of thing, and so yet another reason that I'm super happy to have you on the show. And congratulations on your divorce, by the way.
Thank you.
So yeah, I didn't even know about that, and you're like the perfect storm, so to speak, for our listeners here. Now, I'd love to know more about the divorce, but you say it's history, so let's just move forward, shall we?
Okay. We'll talk about that off air.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So, I asked you on here today for resources and entrepreneurship because that's what you stepped into. So you stepped out into the void with really no idea of what you're gonna go. So before we get to that building of where you are now, give us a snapshot of where you are right now. You run a couple of podcasts. You're running a summit. You're moving and shaking more than anybody I know right now. It's so exciting to see. So please tell us where, who, and what you're doing right now.
Well, thank you, because it is so exciting to experience. I mean, I can't keep up. In fact, just before we hopped on this call, I was just booking my flights for some events. I mean, like, I keep getting invited to come speak live and inspire more people and help people build their empire. And it's like, frick, this is incredible, I this week have 10 interviews for podcasts. My goal is to be on 100 shows this year. And I've been getting a lot of recognition. And I mean, I'm getting people listening to the new podcast going, oh my gosh, you need more. I'm sending people to you. My people need to hear this. And it's not even done yet, so it's been a wild ride. When I stepped out into the unknown and I quit my job without a plan, without savings, without any support, it was scary, but it was a relief as well, because it had to get done. And I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew that something better was going to happen. And as long as I took inspired action and I didn't focus on what I didn't have, I didn't focus on the fact that there was no money coming in and that I was tapping into my credit cards. I didn't focus on all the problems or all the potential problems that could happen if. I didn't focus on any of that. I focused on, all right, the first step was like, all is going to be well. You can't go from 0 to 100 without hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So I wasn't focusing on 100. I was focusing on just being open to, I know I'm going somewhere good. I don't know where that is, and I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm just going to just feel good. That was my goal, feeling good. I'd been feeling bad so long. I felt bad spiritually, emotionally, physically. All I wanted to do was feel good. And if each day I could focus on feeling good, that's all that mattered. And some days I didn't feel good, but what I was able to do was remind myself that all I care about is feeling good. So I don't want to wallow in not feeling good, even though I didn't feel good. I wanted to look at what was good, what was feeling good. Okay, that's easy. So just getting that next calm and peace, and you can't just be happy from being depressed, right? But I could at least be calm. And so I just allowed that to happen. And I looked for a lot of different answers in terms of to make money. I was desperately searching for, how do I do this? Because now there's no money coming in. So even though I'm not focusing on no money, I'm focusing on what I can do. So I'm looking for the answers to that. And it led me to making a lot of really bad financial decisions about where I was going to spend this credit and who I was going to trust. And I was just so disappointed by the choices that I was making. And I had to own that they were my choices. But I also looked around and I was like, I am not an idiot. I'm a smart girl. And why am I making these choices? Because the messaging is really good. And the messaging is targeting me, somebody who needs help. And that is where people are, at least what I was experiencing was people were preying on people who needed help. And that pissed me off. And so once I figured that out, I shut it all down. I quit all of the programs I was in. I fired the people that had hired me because they were so the wrong people, and they were draining and exhausting. And I wasn't making money to where it felt good. I was feeling like, what am I doing? And so I shut it all down and I went within and I said, I want to be the person who I needed when I quit my job. And so that's how I got into this, really. I decided to do what's called a summit. I brought together 30 experts and interviewed them. I had never done an interview before in my life. And, people a lot of times will go, oh, well, social media. I didn't know look, I was a ghost. When I started when I quit my job and started my online business, I was dealing with, again, really bad people. I was removing kids from really bad situations. I was not looking to put myself out as a public person and to say, hey, here's where I live. Here's what I do. Come find me. I was terrified. I figured it out because I was just looking one step at a time, right? To make it a little bit easier, a little bit better, a little bit more enjoyable. And everything that scared me, I had to ask myself, am I afraid because of the stories I'm telling myself that have been true in the past? Maybe, but may not be true now. Or am I afraid because this is really like, no. And most of the times it was just because of the past experiences and stories. And so I got uncomfortable and I did a video and I got uncomfortable and I put myself on social and I got uncomfortable and I interviewed and put a video out and did all these different things that were super uncomfortable. And I did it for that higher purpose of being the person that I needed because I knew there were people like me. And so that launched, I had that summit. So I started working on that, I guess, probably around May-ish of 2015. The summit launched, which is really the launch of my business, November 1st, 2015. And here we are recording in March of 2017. It has not been very long at all, just over a year. And in that short period of time, I've done amazing things. And I have to pinch myself about who my friends are and what I'm experiencing. And I think it's just because I was focused on being the person I needed and allowing that I wasn't going to have this hard and fast, here's what I'm going to do. And here's the plan. And I have to stick to it. No, I was just like, I'm going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to be happy each day. And I'm going to be aware of the opportunities that present themselves to me.
Yes. Wow, there's so much. There's so much there. I feel the same way. You were talking about being a ghost on social media, not knowing the language, not being comfortable, like putting yourself out there, being preyed on by the people who are trying to draw you into the wrong things. And again, you have to sometimes you have to take just a couple steps down the wrong path before you know that it's the wrong path. And then you have to have the courage to say, okay, I'm on the wrong path. I'm either going to backtrack or I'm going to go cross country, whatever it is. And it sounds like you've really started figuring it out. Now, more than that, you put yourself way out of your comfort zone and and started the summit, which is, not only do you not have the social or the technical know-how, you just decided to go full Monty and throw this thing together. And in under a year, about a year now, your networks and your businesses have grown to a place where, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you probably hadn't expected it to.
Oh, for sure. I could never have imagined it the way it has. And, now podcast, my whole business is all revolving around podcasting. When I started, I didn't even know what podcasting was. I knew that it was something people were using as I was exploring. I knew that it was something that was being used for marketing. And so I reached out to John Lee Dumas to be my my rock star, if you will. Like, my branding's all about business building rock stars. So all of my featured speakers or experts are rock stars. So I reached out to John Lee Dumas to be the rock star on podcasting for the 2015 summit. Now, there's also been a 2016 and there will be a 2017. I committed when I decided to do it. I was not throwing it together. I was doing it very, very intentionally and putting a lot of work in. So I said, I'm committing to myself to do this for 3 years. So for the 2015, even though I had no network, I just went for what I wanted. And I got John, he said yes. And what he said when I interviewed him about why podcasting and what is this and how and all, it made a lot of sense. And off camera, he said to me, Nicole, if you are enjoying interviewing people, and mind you, I had never done interviews before. Like, my first interview I ever did was with AJ Amex for the 2015 Business Building Rockstar Summit. Now, today, I can't even tell. I've probably done about 250 interviews of other people, and I've been interviewed well over 100 times by now. So it's, again, very short period of time, but I just went for it. And when John said, if you're enjoying interviewing people and you're really good at it, and you should think about podcasting because it's much easier than a summit. And I was like, well, I don't know. I've got enough on my plate. But again, I was trying to be open to what opportunities are in front of you. It's not like he was trying to sell me on anything. He was just presenting an opportunity. So that was different than what I had experienced in the past, which was people selling. Here's this person who's just given me his time, made a lot of sense. We connected, and he told me something that might be of interest. So all right, let me look into this. Eventually, I did wind up joining his community and making a date. And so I launched March 21st. So again, time of recording, just under a year since I launched my podcast, The Business Building Rockstar Show. And in that time, I fell in love with podcasting. I've made so many connections. I've supported so many people. I've been supported by so many people. And now my business is all about helping people be great guests and getting them booked on other people's podcasts. Yeah. So all of this, where I'm at today, 12 months ago, I couldn't even imagine, because I didn't know the first thing about podcasting. I was trying something out that I really didn't care about. I was only looking at it as, well, it's one way to do marketing. And it's just one of a few ways to market myself and my business and coaching. Now I do a lot of coaching for my clients and for my members and my community. But like the one-on-one coaching that I thought I would be doing way back when, I have a few high-end clients, but it's not something I do for the masses.
Yeah. No, it's pretty incredible that you struggled up to this point, and then within a year, it's just kind of this cascade of opportunity. And instead of saying, oh, I don't know, it's uncomfortable, it's weird, it's out of the box, you're saying yes to all these things, and you're going down these places, and you're becoming this thing, and you're in this network now that you never would have foreseen. I mean, for those of you listening, when she said the words John Lee Dumas, a light bulb should have went off in your head. It's more or less the modern godfather of podcasting, really. The guy he's a large part of what podcasting has, why it's become popular. I mean, he is an incredible person. If you don't follow him, I go over there, check him out. At least, just search him on iTunes or Stitcher or what have you. But, we'll jump off that bandwagon for just a moment. But I wanted to point out the fact that, your life can easily change from, rubble in the bomb crater, what we talk about in our normal show, to, going a direction that you may not have foreseen, but it's a natural flow. And once you find that groove, you can make these networks and connect to these people and start doing these things that, maybe before you were dreaming about. But you got to take the one and then the next and the next step. You said before, you don't go from 1 to 100, you go to 1 to 2. And that's just how it progresses from there.
And I want to just say too, I was featured in it's just a person's opinion. So at first I was like, wait, what? But it is a person's opinion. It's a person I don't know's opinion. In October, this past October, I was featured in the Huffington Post on an article that listed out, or a blog that listed out, the top 50 female entrepreneurs to watch in 2017. Or women entrepreneurs to watch in 2017 or follow, or whatever. And I was on that list with people like Danielle Laporte, Marie Forleo, Marisa Murgatroyd, Dory Clark, people I have huge respect for and who've been in the industry forever.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward, I just got back from a conference in Florida called PodFest, where I was speaking, and I stayed a couple of extra days because I wanted to see family. And also I did an event, just a little get together with some of my partners. Well, the name Dory Clark, she's amazing. She's a Grammy winner. She's written New York Times bestsellers. She's an amazing woman. And I invited her to come down, and she did. And we got to hang out for the day. And I'm sitting there like, I'm hanging out with Dory Clark, like friends. Like we went out to lunch and we went to an escape room, and these kinds of experiences a year ago I would not have imagined. 2 years ago, what? No way. And now, like, the people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis as friends, as colleagues, as clients, and as mentors, it's incredible. And so I really believe that it doesn't matter where I had, again, zero network, right?
Yeah.
None. And so you can create anything you want as long as it's in line with who you are. And so it's got to be authentic, right? You can't create something that you want out of resentment or ego. You have to be creating something out of love and alignment. And whether that's for a business or whether that's finding, the woman of your dreams or whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as you are just going 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and you're going in a place of curiosity and authenticity. You can create anything you want.
I love this. Because the parallel is, there's a couple of things in there that we always talk about, and it's a huge like buzz term going through the podcasting world, but it's so true. It's you're the average of the 5 people or the handful of people you spend time with, right? And so once you leveled your network up, you leveled your game up, and then it just, again, ratchet theory, right? I talked about ratchet theory, where you just take the next step and the next step. That's the going from 1 to 2 to 3 on your way to 100 or 1,000 or whatever it is. Like once you level up that playing field, then you learn exponentially better, quicker, faster, and the doors start opening. Another thing that you hit, and I know that is a huge parallel for a lot of us guys and a lot of us single parents, non-traditionals. When we hit the bomb crater, half of our network or most of our network, most of the people and things and friends and that we know go away. There's animosity, there's weirdness, right? General weirdness, which I don't understand, but whatever, I'm weird myself, so I'll just let that one go. The point is, you started with 0 network and you just started aligning yourself with your heart and you just move forward in a genuine direction. And people started resonating with that, and you started reaching out to people, interacting with people, and now you're having lunch with, one of your idols, just as friends. That is the power of following your passion, your heart, your desire, and not being afraid of someone saying no, or someone saying, you're not good enough, or telling yourself that you're good enough. Like that is the power of it.
Self-love is number one. Like you have to feel good about yourself. You can't fake confidence. No. You just can't. You either are confident or, you either are confident or you're not. And people can smell inauthenticity. And when you attract problems and you attract the people that you don't want to date or the people who are not going to support you or whatever, when you're attracting things you don't want, take a look inside and saying, am I showing up authentically and who I am, or am I being somebody that I'm not? And when you can really stand in your own power and you can be yourself 24/7. And I mean, I struggle with that. Like, heck, I just met somebody and I wasn't being myself 100% and it ended. And then I, kind of said, is it worth it that it ended? Because he was what I thought I wanted, but the experience was different. But I think that's because I was being an ass. I don't think it was because there was a problem necessarily with him or with him and me, but I think because I was putting myself out there in an inauthentic way. And it wasn't anything like extreme, but it was just a little bit different than really showing up as me 100%. And so I reached out and I was like, I'm sorry, I was a jerk. And he responded and we hung out again. And, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe something special, maybe something not, doesn't matter. But now I feel really good because I am able to just be me without hiding it. And I think that's really important. You just have to have confidence in yourself and you have to show up in everything you do if you want it to be good as that confident person. And I'm not worried about rejection. I'm not worried about people saying no to me. I don't care. I'm just being me. That's how you and I met, Walter.
Absolutely.
I don't even know who reached out first, but if I saw you first or you saw me first, but just being there in service to others in your power. And that's it. just without expectations of what's next, I think is what has really helped me get to where I am in such a short period of time.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. And I think that was poetic, just how it was, we were both actually trying to help each other, not each other directly, but help other people. And it was like, this person's always here. Maybe I should just say hi. And I don't know if I was the one saying hi or whatever, but we agreed on several points. We were pointing out, trying to help other people. And then it's just here we are today. It's just been an amazing ride all the way through. And that's how when you really just dig down into your genuine self and you do things for, just good, just for the right reason, there's been no monetization one way or the other. It's just a genuine kind of connection that, hey, we have the same values. We have the same, you could apply that to friendships. You can apply it to business networks, relationships, etc. And just keep applying it. I guarantee you that's the recipe for success moving forward. Awesome.
Yeah.
So much awesome. I really want to respect your time, but there's a couple questions that I want to get. And I know that you and we already did talk quite a while before the recording, but we could talk literally all day. And it seems like every one of our conversations goes like this. And that's how you know that you're in the right group, folks. It's just, there's no end to conversation. It's always good. It's always filled with just massive nuggets. But as an entrepreneur, I have $1 million question, and I want to know, in your opinion right now, what is an area of opportunity or entrepreneurship, residual income, something gathering momentum right now that if you were starting from zero, what's the latest and greatest, quote, low-hanging fruit right now? So say, for example, I'm a divorced dad and I need some side income.
Well, 100% podcast guesting. I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because had I known then what I know now, this would have been my primary driving. I could have built a business all around podcast guesting. The cool thing is you don't have to have a business to start doing podcast guesting. You just have to have some sort of expertise, something of value that you want to share with people. And, that's, I help you break that down in Get Guest Ready, the podcast. It's free. And that's it. So whether you want to earn an extra, a couple $100 a month on the side passively just to, put into the kids' education fund, or whether you want to take a holiday, or whether you want to build a business that will eventually replace your job or whatever, you can definitely do that through your own passions. And again, just showing up on purpose and being yourself. People will pay you to do something you love. And the way to get that message out, I think, is podcasting.
Yeah, especially nowadays, podcasting is taking on all kinds of momentum right now. I'm starting to look at the stats a lot. As many of you know, I run my own production company, and that is starting to really kind of gain momentum too. Like, there's all kinds of opportunity around podcasting in general, but guesting, take us through a little bit of a lineage. Like, what are the possibilities? You say guesting, and for somebody who doesn't know much about podcasting, you said follow your passion or follow your expertise. How put a couple of links of that chain together so we can kind of see the vision.
Sure. So let's take somebody who says, okay, I'm going to do, I'm not going to use something local like yard work, because that is specific to an area, although you can definitely use podcast guesting for it. But let's say you like to write. And you say, okay, well, look, I'm going to look into this article writing thing, okay. And hey, I can monetize that, because you can either start your own blog and have to build up an audience for that blog, or you could start offering your services to other people who need blog posts and ghostwrite for them, basically. Yeah,
ghostwriting, show notes, like all kinds of writing opportunities.
Yeah. All kinds of writing opportunities. So let's just say you just recognize, okay, I don't know, just like me back then, right? I knew I had skills, I knew I had talents, but I didn't know what I was going to do with them. Just be curious, recognize, okay, I really like writing. This is something I'd be willing to do a few hours a week if I could make some money out of it for fun. All right, great. So now you could either start your own thing. That's a lot of work, or you could, do it for other people. Then you get paid. In order to get people to know what you do, you've got to get your message out there. You have to find those people who want your service. So then again, a lot of work, right? If you want to start your own podcast, and I love podcasting, I'm a podcaster. it's a lot of work. You have to pay for the hosting. You have to either pay or learn how to do the production. You have a lot of expense. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of work. Or you can go on somebody else's podcast. They've already cultivated an audience. I mean, listeners, look, you rad dads are listening to me right now. You've never heard of me before, but here I am leveraging Walter's audience. And now you're getting to know me. And if you love me, then you might want to take a next step with me. You might not, but you at least know my name. So maybe if you're listening to something else, or you're seeing something else, or you're watching TV and all of a sudden you see my name, oh, I remember her from We Rad Dads, right? So there's this ability to very, very, very quickly build up your authority and your influence and be able to offer people services without having to build your own network or platform first. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, I think podcast guesting, that's a great explanation. I think that another intermediary is kind of ties into my next question, is the secret weapon, the resource that we were talking about just before this conversation. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to kind of get into being a freelancer, working on your own time, on your own schedule, on working for the projects that you like to do, doing what you like to do. So I think that that's a really pretty good tie-in there.
Yeah, definitely. So Upwork is a platform. It's online, and it allows you basically to say, hey, I'm a freelancer. Here's what I charge. Here's what I do. And then people will be searching for people who do what they need. And then you get to see what their offers are. You get to decide. And the cool thing is Upwork gives like a rating system. So you can do different sizes, a size of contract. You know, if you wanted to say, well, again, let's take the example of writing. Let's say, okay, well, a 100 word post that's ideal for social media on a specific topic could be this price. And well, if you want to get a 1,000 word blog post on this topic, it's this price. And if you want something more, and you know, you can do your different offers, or you can say the different things you're available for, and then people will come to you because they're searching for your service. You can also search for people looking for what you do as well. And you can search for people who are looking for support that you can do, but maybe that you're not advertising yet. So Upwork is great because they take care of all the money exchange, and they take care of like the contract. So it's a very good service that allows you to go in and work with strangers without really having to vet them or to do much prep work.
Yeah, awesome. A great plug. I should probably get an affiliate link for Upwork.
I don't know if they have any. I haven't even looked into it, but I love it.
No, you were raving about it, and it's something I'm just starting to look into too. So, guys and gals listening, there's plenty of opportunity out there. Just get in there, really search your soul, find out what it is that you would do, for a nominal amount. You know, what are you doing right now that you enjoy? You know, I guarantee there's a market out there for it. And I know Nicole and myself we're living examples of it. And we're just two of millions of people doing it every day. So, you know, there's opportunity out there. Just because you can't see it right in front of your face doesn't mean it does not exist. Nicole, I want to give you proper time to really showcase who you are, where your show, what you have to offer. I know you have the Business Building Rockstar show on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever podcasts are not sold. And you have the BBR Summit. Is that an archive? Is that something we can also access?
Yeah, so not right now. I mean, you could if you want to pay $197. But actually, you know what? I say that, and then I'm like, actually, it's not that much. That's how much it's being sold for right now. The last one was 41 different experts, and there were 30 advanced sessions as well. So lots and lots of resources. But it's also a part of my membership. So people who are members of my community, it's $49 a month membership. They can get access to the 2015 resources, 2016 resources, coaching from me twice a month, lots of other good stuff. But you know what? I'm not even going to worry about that right now. What I will say is for the We Rad Dads community of men and those women who are listening as well, who are interested in entrepreneurship or at least considering entrepreneurship, definitely check out my podcast, The Business Building Rockstar Show. I highlight the journey of the entrepreneur. So you'll learn more about people like me but actually people who are far beyond where I'm at, but really that story, that journey of where they went from starting out to where they are today, that is one resource. If you are interested in podcast guesting, I've got a little something for you, and my show is Get Guest Ready. And you know what? We've talked about a whole lot of things today, and I'm not good on the spot. So what I'm going to do is put together a page. If you go to interviews.convert.com/we rad dads, I'll have my podcasts linked there. I'll have that little gift. And I'm also going to have my social media. If you might not be interested in entrepreneurship, but something I may have said may have hit home for you. I'd love to hear from you. Definitely drop me an email or tweet me. All of that's going to be at interviews.convert.com/we rad dads.
That is so awesome, Nicole, that you would put together a page just for the listeners of this show. And I tell you, firsthand experience here, guys, Nicole is every bit personable as you heard her today. If you reach out, I guarantee she will respond. And just to back it up a sec, even though she didn't sell it, she's not the pushy sales type. Just think about this for a second. Hundreds of thousands and the connections and the networks that they have of business builders, people who went from, zero to hero, so to speak, building their own thing along the way. She has all the interviews and all the experience and all the connections to those people. If this interests you even just a little bit, guys, look over there in that direction. And I will have all these links on both the quick links and the show notes page. So don't fear if you missed them.
Hang on. I'm going to interrupt you now because you just gave me a plug, and I feel like, okay, yeah, no, I shouldn't just leave people hanging. So I tell you what, also, if you are at that stage and you are looking for support in that entrepreneurial journey, what I'll do is I'll create a coupon for We Rad Dads so you can get the first month for $1.
That is an incredible value, guys. Take advantage of this. Oh my, Nicole, that's above and beyond. We hadn't talked about this at all, and this just
no.
I'm blown away. Thank you so much. It's a heartfelt thank you. Again, virtual hug. I love you, girl, and I know that I would like to be able to see some of our listeners go over there and take advantage of this and really, dare to dream and dare to go ahead and fulfill some of the things that we're thinking about, like how to get ahead just $1 at a time, doing things on their spare time, doing what they like to do in their own time. And so I really am more than thankful that you would come on the show and tell us all this and give us these links and resources. And I know we could talk forever, and I'm looking forward to maybe having you on again sometime soon.
It'd be such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on this time, and to all the rad dads out there, keep doing what you're doing, and don't let your circumstances dictate your future.
Yeah, awesome quote. I'm going to end on that one. That's a drop the mic moment. Nicole, Holland, everyone, thank you so much. I love you, and I'll be in touch. Okay, did I tell you, or did I not? Well, I told you. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I told you. She is just such a spark of life, and you wouldn't understand just talking to her what she has been through to get here. A divorce, PTSD, dealing with just the incredible lengths that the foster care program put her through. And it's really unfortunate that the system is such that they felt the need to try and take advantage of their hosts. But I'm glad that Nicole was able to rise above and is on to working in amazing things in such a short amount of time too. Guys, this is what I'm trying to exemplify here, is that you can make that pivot. You can make that turn. It takes a little energy and it takes a little effort. It takes a little internal work, if you will. But I think we all have the capability of doing this. And this is what I'm trying to do with my life. This is what I want to see for your life. Now, whether you have a great opportunity, maybe you want a little bit more side hustle money. Maybe you want to take your kids to Disneyland, or I don't know. I mean, with the world we live in today, there's so many opportunities. So guys, start thinking about it. And tell you what, let's just start talking about it. Join the We Rad Dads Facebook group and get on over there. Let's start talking about it. I'm going to start a thread about this. I want to see what your guys' bucket lists are, and maybe let's just start batting around some ideas for some side hustle money or something. I don't know. I mean, why not? Why can't we talk about these things? Let's dream big. Anyway, hey guys, a couple of the resources there. Podcast guesting, obviously. Upwork.com. If you possess skills, that's probably a good place for you. Or if you need somebody to help you with what you do, Upwork.com. I don't get paid by them. Just go over there and check them out. Nicole, on the other hand, she gave you guys an incredible opportunity to join her community of business professionals. So if you're looking into some side hustle stuff, $1, a single solitary dollar. the coupon offer for her community over there, the business building Rockstars, and you can reach that at interviews that convert, all one word, / we rad dads. Also another word, solid word, as in all one word. I just totally botched that. Let's try that again. Interviews that convert / we rad dads. One block of words, no spaces. How's that? All right. Don't forget about that $1 community offer, and this is the way to go. And Nicole, don't forget to reach Nicole at, that was redundant, interviewsthatconvert.com. And I want to close out here with something that Nicole said at the end. And that's just perfect. Guys, this applies to us. It says, don't let your circumstances dictate your future. Guys, is that us? Is that us or what? I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. You can totally apply that to your life, and I hope you do. Guys, let's keep the conversation going. Meet me over there at Facebook, or, hit me up, walter@weraddads.com. If you want to just be one-on-one, say, hey, thanks for what you're doing, or, hey, you need to adjust your fire a little bit, because maybe, you're missing the mark here, there, or the other place. Anyway, guys, I enjoy the feedback, and, I don't care if it's positive or negative. I just like being able to interact with you guys. Thank you so much, and believe me, I'm walking through the same ruts that you guys are. I am right here in the trenches with you, and I will talk more about that soon. But I've got something that I've been coming through. You guys in the Facebook have noticed that I'm asking for help. I'm asking for a little bit of this, and soon enough I'll let it out, guys. But I've got to process it first. Don't worry, it's just life. It's just life. And that's exactly where you're at too. So, take some inspiration, take a few deep breaths. You're right where you're supposed to be. Guys, stay up, stay connected, and stay rad. All right, take care. I'll talk to you next week.
Well, that's it for this episode of We Rad Dads. I sincerely thank you for joining us. Don't forget to look us up at www.weraddads.com. There you can find links to our Facebook page and Twitter account. Got a question or comment? It may be featured. Email me, walter@weraddads.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for joining us. And remember, stay up, stay connected, and stay rad, dads.